are live. You ready to see this intro video? I don't know if you've been on one where we actually had the intro going.
I don't think I've been on one with the intro. I know I was on last week with Chev, and I
Okay.
don't think he ended up playing the intro.
Okay, this will be fun then. Cool. It's nice. It's got like the little trap music, as Rocco always calls it. I'm not sure
Yeah.
I would call it that, but all right, let's go. Oh, that's always fun. Took me a while to find some Cam Ward highlights though. Got to get some Gadsden ones in there. We are live. This is Two Guys, One Pod. I am Addi, the Duck League champ. You can find me on the TikToks, the Twitters, and all that there. But I am here with someone who is actually qualified to talk about this. The one, the only, the smartest Twitter doc in the business, Ben McCown, PTDBT. You know, you must be a smart guy because I'm having a Lions fan come on with me a little bit before a Bears game here. How are you doing today, Ben?
Addy, I'm doing great. And if you take away the hat and the jersey aside, I actually have kind of a little bit of a love story with Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze. So, and I've it's one of those things like as a Lions fan I've battled with, but I want to see those guys be successful, just not on the Sundays where they play us.
Well, you're lucky. They haven't been. So
Not at least not the week
easy
they played
enough there.
us. They didn't show up that week, but oh man,
Well,
but I'm excited for this episode. Chev and you have me on every Sunday and talk about injuries. And recently I started my Substack a couple weeks ago on my injury report, and that's been a really fun undertaking, just because I kind of get a little bit deeper into the each game and basically be able to break down everything, and it prepares me honestly for shows like this.
hell yeah, man. I mean, really one of the best resources in the game too. Definitely check out Ben's work on Dynasty Gambit as well. Like you're putting out some of the best content out there, and honestly, the biggest thing for me is I love when content's thorough and actually goes into the minutia of it because as like a stats guy, that's the thing that I have my biggest blind spot towards. Like if the numbers tell me something isn't happening, even if I can see it on the field, I'm gonna believe the numbers more often than not. That's been something I've
Yeah.
been trying to change up this season. So like I've been really liking the work that you guys have been putting out there because it gives additional context to what we're looking at, and maybe a player is going to take longer to get back into it. But speaking on that, we have week 10 injuries to go over here. Do we want to start out with some of the ones from week 9, just follow up on how they were going here?
Honestly, I'll kind of start off where, like, at least at the top of where my article kind of starts, and talking about a player that has been very frustrating this season, and that's Brian Thomas Jr. You mentioned just now, and that's kind of a good lead in, because when you look at the stats or you watch those stat sheets, it doesn't look great. And it's because he's been nursing multiple injuries this season, and we're not exactly sure what's going on in Jacksonville. But he was recently diagnosed with a low grade high ankle sprain, and it's very frustrating because it's like not bad enough that we'll put him on the IR, where it's like that he's not going to be on your roster or rosterable to play every week, but it's enough where it's like he's going to be questionable, he's going to be out. Like it eventually got, I think it was updated like Thursday or Friday that he was eventually ruled to out for the week. And, Jacksonville has kind of a decimated receiver room right now, of course, with Travis Hunter also being ruled out with his kind of ominous knee injury that hasn't really been talked about a lot. And, what I can tell you from that perspective, not to take too much time on this, Addy, but like the organization has basically released that it will not be a long term injury, but that he will likely be back shortly after he comes off the IR. And so, they're just dealing with some crap right now in Jacksonville, and it's not helping Trevor Lawrence's case for being able to, you know, look great. I mean, he's got the contract in Jacksonville, but it is kind of murky right now on what their future looks like.
Yeah. I made a trade about 3 weeks back in one of my home leagues. AJ Brown and Trey Benson right before he got put on IR for, or sorry, Trey Benson and BTJ right before Trey Benson got put on IR for AJ Brown. And I have since been regretting it every single week since then because, along with that ankle injury, Brian Thomas Jr. has also been diagnosed with not having any hands. And that's been a rough part of his season. So I
Yeah,
definitely, it's been a rough watch for the Jacksonville
yeah.
team because I think Liam Cohen's been really doing wonders with that offense. The O-line hasn't helped them a ton, but I would really love to see Trevor Lawrence look like the quarterback we saw at Clemson for like 3 seconds.
I
That's
mean,
all I
they've
want to
they've
see
got
this
a
year.
they've got a top five defense, and that's really what's kept them
They do.
in these games and being able to give them a right now a winning record. But I think in regards to that trade, or it looks good on paper, but it just hasn't shown up because Brian Thomas has been non-existent. You said is that redraft, by the way?
That is redraft.
Okay,
That
yeah,
is a
no,
redraft
that's
team I'm slowly dying in.
yeah, no, it's yeah, redraft is hard when those injuries hit, man. But yeah, I think that's an important one to talk about. And then of course, in that same game, right? You have the Texans who are now rolling out Davis Mills because CJ Stroud was ruled out under the concussion protocol very early on. So it was when it's ruled out that early, we kind of talked about this on one of the other episodes earlier in the season. Um, I can't even remember which player it was, but when a player is ruled out that early, they've got a ways to go. And so I think CJ Stroud hopefully is ready for week 11, but he's got to get through the 5 stages first in order to get to the point where he's going to be back on the field.
Yeah. How do you think that impacts this game? Because we're looking at two of the teams with probably top 10 defenses in the NFL. I think both of them have a case for winning or for getting into the wild card spot behind the Colts in this division.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to see the Texans be able to run a competent offense? I was actually kind of impressed by Davis Mills last week, which is not a sentence I saw myself saying in 2025.
I honestly think it's going to be a defensive battle. And I think Davis Mills will do enough. I honestly actually have them. I'm in a pick 'em league as far as like pick 'em by the spread, and I have the Texans. And I think this
Heck yeah.
Texans could win this game straight up as well. So it's going to come down to is Davis Mills serviceable enough to be able to get Nico Collins and some of the other weapons the ball? Because I think Houston's defense can overpower uh, Trevor Lawrence and like I said, the decimated receiver room they have.
Yeah, I would agree there. And we have spent a solid 8 minutes talking about everyone's least favorite game of this week because that is how we're starting out today. Let's move it into one that's a bit more fun. We have the New England Patriots at the San Francisco
Yeah.
49ers. We aren't going to see Ricky Pearsall in this one. Do we have news on if Brock Purdy is going to be starting this football game?
He is not. I mean, let's see here. Yeah, at least from my understanding, he is. It's gonna be Mac Jones getting the start.
Yep.
And I believe Brock Purdy is officially ruled out. So, yeah, I mean, fire up Mac Jones. I think honestly, right now he's been doing fairly well leading the team.
He's
Um,
been dealing.
yeah, I mean, is it? Did you say Patriots and 49ers? I believe it's the Rams and 49ers.
It's definitely
So,
Rams and 49ers. I was
yeah,
looking at
which
Puka Nakua and mixed him up with Booty. Peek behind the
well,
curtain
yeah,
there for everyone.
it. And to speak on Puka, that's another one where he will be playing. And I'm not worried. If you have Puka, you should definitely be starting him. There's really it's going to be a pain management kind of situation. So it, in this one, I think it's going to be Rams by a lot. I think and I said that the last time, but I think Sean McVay is going to have some revenge on his mind when it comes to like they were favorites to win that last game, and that killed a lot of people in survivor leagues to take out the Rams and such a heavy favorite. And And then, yeah, like I said, as far as Brock Purdy goes, it's about as frustrating as it can get because it's Shanahan's words where it's getting closer, and he said we're pretty confident we'll see him this year. I don't like that verbiage at all. Like that just tells me we might even have a few more weeks left without Brock Purdy, and we're just fine riding Mac Jones.
Yeah, what's that Podfather role? Day to day means week to week means month to month. Maybe see him this season means maybe see him next season.
Yeah, and this season has been worse than others. It feels like that. Like it's
Oh yeah.
just been these injuries that, for the most part, if they're taken care of, they should be pretty straightforward on being able to return to play. And Brock Purdy's been kind of the poster child for that. That he has had a rough go of it this season.
He definitely has. And I have the Patriots on the mind, so I'm actually going to bring them up here. Patriots are playing at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers today, if anyone was wondering. That is likely to be one of the most fun games of this week. But one player that will not be very fun to watch will be Kayshon Boutte, who announced on his Discord server that he's likely not in this week, but he is good to go for next week. He's trying to get himself ready for Thursday Night Football.
Is he runs a Discord server?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has a gaming
Yeah.
server.
Gotcha. We need to get in there. No, just kidding.
Yeah, right?
Get some of the inside scoop, man. But yeah, so Kayshon Boutte's out, at least as far as what I understand. Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson also missed practice both Wednesday and Thursday. I couldn't remember what I saw for the Friday report, but I believe both are missing the game. And then also in that same slate, you have again one of the most frustrating, like for both of these guys, Chris Godwin and Bucky Irving have missed most of 2025. And I honestly don't know if Chris Godwin is going to return in 2025 or when that would even be, right? As far as Bucky Irving goes, like a lot of us fantasy managers have been just like tooth and nail just watching the practice reports to see what's going to happen with him. But we're going to miss him again this week. And honestly, I think, for his health, he needs to continue to take that time. But yeah, as far as that goes, those are the four big injuries from that slate. You got Drake May going against Baker Mayfield. It's gonna be a highlight show.
Oh, it's going to be real fun. I'm excited for that game either way. And Christian Gonzalez is back in this one. So the pass D could be a little bit better. But either way, both of these defenses are very strong in the front seven and a little bit weaker in the secondary. So I'm hoping to see some fireworks regardless. Still, I think Demario Douglas is still a bit of a reactionary play. Had a couple good weeks in a row. I don't like buying in that utility player is going to maintain that flow, but he has looked good, which has been really fun to see because we're getting that offense rolling on all cylinders. It would be great to see Kyle Williams actually get some run with Boutte out.
My counter argument to Demario Douglas is he's going against a secondary that has given up a decent amount of points this season, and he's built a rapport with Drake May. And so, Boutte, who in my opinion this season has built even more of a rapport with Drake May than
He's looked
Demario
insane.
Douglas has. I think Demario Douglas is that next step in line. So while I would love to see Kyle Williams take that next step, I do think Demario Douglas is a good flex play.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a chance there. I'd be terrified to play him, but there are a trillion
there's a
players
lot of
I'm
other better
terrified to
options.
play this week.
Yeah, right.
Let's move it to a couple other out players. We have the Washington Commanders continue with their myriad of injuries. Jaden Daniels not put on IR right away. This one really surprised me. Hey, how are you feeling about the Jaden Daniels injury?
So, I would be lying if I didn't throw a little bit of my bias in there, but it's like I'm happy that the Lions have a little bit of a better opportunity to get this win. I hate to see it at the hands of an injury. But yeah, as far as Jaden Daniels goes, let's get a little bit deeper on that because that was a big part of my injury report this week where I really discussed how, initially I thought that he was going to have a fracture. And it sounds like reports are that he was able to escape with a dislocated elbow without any bone fractures. So, they're talking about possibly him returning this season. And I'm not feeling good about the Commanders' playoff chances, but at least do we see him coming out week 16, 17, 18? I mean, if it gets that late and they're not even going to be making close to making the playoffs, do they shut him down for the year? who knows at this point? But as far as Jaden Daniels as a fantasy asset going forward past 2025 as a dynasty asset, I'm not worried at all. Honestly, this is a great buy, like great buying window because before he was a top five dynasty quarterback prior to this injury. I mean, he was having kind of a down year, but a lot of that again had to do with injury, with him going down with the knee injury some weeks back. But yeah, I mean, as far as Jaden Daniels goes, I'm buying at this point in Dynasty, but in redraft, not feeling great at all about him making a return. And then in regards to some of the other injuries that the Commanders are dealing with, Terry McLaurin, man, has been a roller coaster for him this year, and he really played from weeks 1 through 4, and then from then on was out with the quad injury, where he was getting multiple doctors' opinions on what do we do with this? Is there surgery that's going to be involved? And then he decides to go non-surgical route, returns in week 9, actually week 8, and then re-aggravates and is then expected to miss then more weeks now. And this is a murky situation, just like very similar to the Chris Godwin situation, where it's like you have an older wide receiver who is dealing with a very, very like I like to use the word bugaboo, but like it's just a very annoying injury that he's dealing with his quad strain.
A nagging one. Yeah.
Yeah, very much like when we were talking about like muscle injuries, hamstrings, quads, they very much like that nagging injury that could pop up back again and again. And so when I saw that Terry was dealing with this, I didn't feel great about it. Unfortunately, I have him in one of my leagues that I'm trying to repeat as a champion. He's basically going to be sitting on my bench or at least on my IR when he's out for the next couple of weeks. I don't know that he returns at least this next week or the week after. But does he come back for a championship run or a playoff run in fantasy? We'll see.
Yeah, I think Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin are basically in the same spot from like a game theory perspective. Like they need to have those two assets be healthy long term. Why risk it if you guys are out of the playoff run and in a stacked NFC? I don't see a reason why they would do that. They tried to bring Terry back and it was incredible. It was really fun. Like for the 17 plays that he played in that game, he looked exactly like he normally does. But I don't know. Like, how old are you, Ben?
I'm 33.
Okay, you don't look a day over 32. But
Thanks.
as a 30-year-old, I injured my groin during flag football this past 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It is crazy how, as you get older, those injuries just tend to sap a little bit of that athleticism over time. And Terry's not a young player. Like, we're going to see that impact him, and I was kind of bummed they brought him back early. I feel like this has been the year of coaches trying to rush back those injuries and just really hitting a lot of walls to actually have those players ready to go. Like, the IR spot is there for a reason. Someone needs to let Todd Bowles know that it exists. But that being said, let's move it on here.
I think Bucky should have been shut down a long time ago, by the way. Not to derail us too much.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we could talk Miami Fairbairn, but this isn't Chev's show, so we don't need to talk about kickers. So we're going to move it straight into the doubtfuls here. Torrey Horton, I believe, has been ruled out at this point. How are we feeling about that Seattle passing game?
The Seattle passing game. Let's see. They're playing the Cardinals today.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Darnold has been stellar this year. As far as, let's see here, just looking up kind of the week-to-week production, but obviously JSN has been the immediate recipient of that. But yeah, let's see. We got a couple of down QB weeks: QB 10, QB 18, QB 2, QB 9, QB 24, and last week against Washington he was QB 5. So, I mean, I think Darnold has been a weekly starter. Let's see here, because actually in my injury report I covered Cooper Kupp. He was considered a limited participant on Thursday, as well as same thing with AJ Barner. So I believe they're expected to play. And then, of course, Shaheed gets the start as well, who they just acquired before the trade deadline. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be a game time decision for Cooper Cup, which could mean good things for Rashid Shaheed. Now, I saw something on Twitter that Chev actually it was like the shit my pants hot sauce, and Twitter was asking like, who is this player this week? And Chev responded Shaheed, but let's see here. Okay, and Barner looks like he's good to go, although he's still carrying the
Yeah.
questionable tag. Um, yeah, I mean, fire up JSN, obviously. Sam Darnold, I think, is still going to be high end QB2, low end QB1 numbers. And I think that he'll do fine just against the Cardinals. Uh, Pass rush, the issue for the Cardinals is their rush defense. I think they actually have been fairly staunch in the couple of games that I've watched. And they've performed at least in the upper half of rush defenses. But so Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, it's such a mess. Um, I it's so hard for me to start Kenneth Walker week to week at this point now. But yeah, I would say as far as the passing game goes, fire those guys up.
Yeah, I would totally agree. And as a Kenneth Walker stan, it is just so rough to watch him go out there every week and get to the 1 yard line. Like I saw somebody doing a little Madden retake
Zach
of
Charbonnet
Kenneth
comes in.
Walker running where
Yeah.
he gets to the 1 yard line, slides it down. um but
Yep. And then
that's
let's
really what
roll
it
out
feels
Zach.
like.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to get Zach in
Because
there, man. He's the only one who knows
he's
how
the
to
red
run
zone
from
guy.
1 yard out. Yeah.
And here's the thing.
uh,
He's one of like between him and
he's
Kenneth
great at it.
Walker, he knows how to run forward. Like that's my issue with Kenneth Walker this season is it's either he blasts like a 20-yard run or he goes back 10 or 15 yards. And so I was gassing up Kenneth Walker at the beginning of the season, preseason, it's like I've always been a hater of Kenneth Walker. One, because he killed my not my alma mater, but my favorite team and my wife's alma mater.
Oh, sure.
And I got to watch him run 5 touchdowns on us. But then also, he's been a dog whenever he's played, and he's actually had the Lions number at times. But he's been inconsistent, and it's so hard to put him in your lineup when it's like, do I know I put Zach Charbonnet in there and I can almost get guaranteed 1 touchdown from the red zone? Um,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
He feels like
I've
a
got
safe
multiple
8
teams where
points.
it's yeah, exactly.
which isn't easy to say at this point in the year. But we have a couple questionable tags here. Almost every single questionable player we have here on the show sheet has been declared in, but I'm
Yeah.
going to let you decide which one you want to go with from Tetaroa, Garrett Wilson, DeAndre Swift, Harold Fannin, and Alvin Kamara. Who's calling to you this week? Like, what injury do you think is the most interesting and is worth following up on?
Well, I believe Harold Fannin was just had the questionable tag taken off. He's gonna be playing.
Yes.
As far as Tedero McMillan, actually, I believe it was Dalton that posted in our group chat that he's expected to play this weekend.
He is.
And so I'm not sitting by any means. Garrett Wilson, he's been rising up my kind of my start sit rankings this week, and so let's see. Alvin Kamara, I don't feel I honestly just don't feel confident starting Alvin Kamara this season. And Austin and I were talking about it, my show partner, separately, and actually on our recent episode of the Gambit, where it's just the coaching staff's not using him in the right way, and so he's been just god awful this season because for some reason the coaching staff just doesn't want to really lean into one of their strengths, which is Alvin Kamara's running game.
Yeah. I mean, when we saw Kendry Miller go in and really start to shine with this offense, it really made me think that they were looking for a running back more around that Kendry Miller, David Montgomery sort of build for a player where they can get a bit more there. Honestly, I started thinking that early in the offseason when they weren't giving reps to Devin Neal because despite my misgivings on Neal, I wasn't super high on him in the draft process just because I didn't think that his athleticism metrics really stacked up. But when you have a guy that can do all of the things, because Devin Neal is a fantastic pass pro player, he's a fantastic receiver out of the backfield, and they still don't get reps, it means they're looking for a specific guy for that role. And I don't think they have that guy on the roster. So they're kind of
Yeah.
forcing that square peg into the round hole with Alvin Kamara. And it's fine. I would love to see the end of Kamara's career look a little bit more like the beginning.
Yeah, and I think the best opportunity for that would have been him getting traded at the trade deadline.
I would have
So
loved
had
that.
he gone to a team like the Chiefs, or it would have
Dallas.
been so much better for his career. Or yeah, exactly. So no, I mean who are some of the other names you had listed by the way on that, Addy?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm biased. I'm in the lucky Matt Forte jersey under here. Tell me about DeAndre Swift. Should I feel confident starting Kyle Monangai, or am I asking myself for the stress farts midway through this game?
I had actually just moved Swift ahead of Manungai in my rankings. I think he's slated to play. At least from my understanding, I didn't get fully in the details. He was dealing with a little bit of an injury, but then it came to light that he was dealing with a little bit of a personal issue outside of football, and so like there was a little bit of like, does he play? But he is going to be playing, and he's been hot when he's been
Yes.
healthy and when he gets the ball. He's been the guy to have, and I do think Manungai's moved to the RB2 spot, and Roshan Johnson, hate to say it, is left for dead now, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Were you a
I think
Roshan
you can
guy?
fire up Swift over. I had hope.
I had hope too.
I I had hope because it was like all of this like stuff that you could have said of he was behind Bijan and he was behind some of these other like top running backs at Texas. It was like he performed when he got the opportunity at Texas, but it just never translated to the NFL. We see Bijan and it's so interesting. Jaden Blue is going to be another one that hasn't really. He's been a healthy scratch for most of the season, but like, where do we see these Texas RBs kind of stack up? Roshan unfortunately hasn't really made a good name of it, but yeah, no. To me, it's Swift and then Menon guy, and then far down here is Roshan.
Yeah, when he hit that 11-yard run the other week, I was like, he's back, and then he got hurt. Because that's the story of that guy, sadly. Aside from that, we have Aaron Jones likely playing. I was kind of expecting that one. Not super surprising. I think that we continue to start him over Jordan Mason, but let's look at some of the players that are good to go here, and if
Yeah.
we're feeling any misgivings about, say, AJ Brown to start with.
Yeah, I mean AJ Brown, when he is on and when he is getting the ball, he is one of the top 5 receivers in the league in regards to like the
Easily.
athleticism that he puts out there. But hasn't shown that this year because the utilization in Philly. And honestly, Devonta Smith has been a more trusted start on your fantasy team this year. And actually, I think I have Devonta Smith as in my rankings in League Chap rankings. You guys got to do it because I'm trying to win a jersey every week this year.
I like your odds this
But
week.
I've been playing around, like I've been going back so much and changing my rankings, just like little tweaks here and there of moving Gibbs up one spot, but either way, I'm starting Devonta over AJ Brown if I have that opportunity this week. Like he's higher in my rankings this week. AJ, it's such a weird situation in Philly right now, and they've been leaning on their defense all season. And of course, Saquon just kind of broke out for his first big game last week. He's healthy to go, as we probably would have mentioned later on in the episode. But yeah, AJ Brown, he's a tough start. He's most likely kind of a wide receiver 2 this week. Hopefully he can get it going.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it saddens me because he is such a fun player to watch, but like you can't feel confident in him in the current amalgamation of their offense just because like we've seen from Smith that he can take over that wide receiver 1 role without any trouble, and I don't see why they would lean away from him a game off of a
Yeah.
hamstring injury for AJ anyways. But speaking of good running backs, you mentioned Saquon, he's in today. Obviously, don't start Tank Bigsby or AJ Dillon. But another top five running back has been declared good to go. James Cook against the Miami Dolphins. I've seen a lot of love towards Ray Davis and Ty Johnson this week. People are saying, oh, the game might kind of end early in this one. Like, how are you feeling about James Cook? Because I could see that being the case, but I feel like he might be a big reason why they'll be ahead.
Yeah, I mean, let's see here. So the matchup is the Dolphins. Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a. To me, I project a blowout. I think I ended up picking them in the spread my spread pick'em league at like -9.5 for the Bills. But yeah, I mean, if they're ahead, they're going to be feeding James Cook. I'm not concerned about James Cook, starting James Cook in redraft this week, and I think he's going to be a top 12 running back this week. Like I think it's a great start. I think the concern comes down to injury, and that's why we were talking about Ray Davis and Ty Johnson. But no, I think James Cook is good to go in your lineup. If they, I guess this answers a little bit of your question, but if they get ahead so far ahead, do they shut James Cook down like the last quarter of the game and they start throwing in the committee? Possibly, but I think James Cook probably would have done most of his damage by that point. He's
Yeah,
he's
you
honestly
gotta
been the
hope he
most
is.
like the best part of the offense outside of Josh Allen.
See that's really how I felt too. Yeah, it's been surprising because like when I first saw the James Cook player profile coming out of college, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy's going to be incredible. And then he had one of the worst rookie seasons I've ever seen in my life. Um, so it's been cool to
Yeah.
see him actually come into his own there. I'm pretty excited about that. Here's one I'm going to skip around here a little bit. So I'm guessing you're passively watching the Falcons Colts game right now too.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Mostly because I actually have this sucks. I have the Colts as favorites. Well, no, okay, they're winning right now. It's 22-17 in the game.
they are.
And Alec Pierce, man, this has been a game for him.
Yeah. See, so that was going to be my ask. Alec Pierce comes out with a huge
Yeah.
game here. How much is that related to Michael Pittman's glute in
Michael
your
Pittman
mind?
has had a rough game. I mean, he might not be fully healthy. You know, he might be definitely just kind of playing through it. Um, I also think Alec Pierce is just a really underrated player. Uh, but you know, it's tough because week to week, you know, even Tyler Warren had one of his lowest receiving games last week. But he's seemed to kind of step it back up against the Falcons. Um, it's kind of hard to pick which weapon out of the offense. Pittman's been fairly stable throughout the season, but I do think the injury probably has a part to do with it.
Yeah, I think so too. That's been my thought throughout this one. It just seems like he hasn't been a focal point of the offense, which seems like off
Yeah.
base because he has been such a big part of their team to this point in the season. It's been crazy, but to be honest, I'm really unsurprised that Downs is actually the odd man out from this setup
Yeah.
because like we were dealing with one of the most stacked receiving rooms in the NFL. It didn't look like it based on last year because Anthony Richardson sadly does not know how to throw a football. Something I haven't been able to come to terms with yet, but slowly getting there. But we're seeing that receiving room shake out the way that it probably should, where whoever's the most healthy is going to come in there and be able to make plays.
Yeah.
Speaking of
And I do
crowded
think
receiver,
like
yeah,
sorry, just to speak a little bit more on that
no,
receiver
go
room,
please.
I do think like Pittman is the wide receiver one of that team. And then you have like some great flex plays, almost like to the level of like wide receiver three plays in, um, you know, Alec Pierce, and Josh Downs has kind of had a down year, but no, of course Addi Mitchell gets traded. I think that was part of the reason that Addi Mitchell got traded. They saw kind of how the receiver room was
Exactly.
shaking out. It's like this guy is more talented than the receiver room is giving him credit for. It's so crowded. I think it's much more underrated than what we had thought preseason.
I totally agree. And I am going to be devastated here when Tyler Algier takes this touchdown away from Bijan because he is certainly going to do that. Just just sneak peek into the Sunday morning game for anybody watching. But speaking of crowded receiver rooms, Bears
Yeah.
receivers are good to play. Cole Kmet's in, DJ Moore's in, Roma Dunze's in. Who are you feeling confident about on the Bears end?
Same with Luther Burden, which Luther Burden was
Exactly.
actually the healthiest at the beginning of the season. But Rome is the alpha, man. And then, one person we didn't mention because he wasn't injured at all was Colston Loveland. Man,
Yes.
as a Michigan fan,
He looks great.
there goes the Tyler Algier touchdown. Oh,
Told ya.
which I am starting him as my RB2 in one league this week. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Loveland had his breakout game, and I think this is the changing of the guard. I think Komet was always the good tight end, right? Like, as far as fantasy wise, he's not good. But in the NFL, he does exactly what we want him to. He blocks, he can catch some passes, but now you've got a true playmaker on your team who is starting to really separate himself. And there's a reason why they took him 10th overall. It was because of games like he had last week. And even like, I think there was some argument. I was listening to the Fantasy Footballers podcast earlier this week, and Andy and Jason were talking about how, he wasn't touched, or, he was touched by all four guys, all four defenders in that play. But either way, no, Colston Loveland's a dog. Romo Dunze is one of my favorite hopeful. Oh, and then they threw the 2-point conversion to Drake London there. There we go. But yeah, he's one of my favorite receivers in the league, and I'm still like we kind of saw a breakout at the beginning of the season, but it hasn't kept week over week, and even in last week's game, like I had both Caleb and Rome in a stack in the league, and it's like I saw Caleb go for almost 40 points, and then Rome basically almost throw up. I don't even think he caught a ball, and there was all of this discourse over social media. This is the time to go, not in redraft. Sorry guys, like for me, redraft is not really my wheelhouse. But dynasty, I don't know that you're going to be able to change too many people's minds on Rome. But if you can convince somebody, maybe not convince, but buy him on the cheap just after a down game, we know Romo Dunze and what he can do for the offense. It's just this Chicago offense is still figuring itself out. And now you just added another piece in Colston Loveland that's going to be good for years to come.
Yes, I totally agree. And we got actually movement in the chat here, probably because I actually posted the video before the stream actually started. A rarity for me.
I
But
also
we have
posted my
Scott.
Discord, so
Oh, what a guy.
Try.
Scott here from our weekly DFS and gambling show called out the Algier one too. Loving the predictions there. Good to have you in the
two
chat, Scott.
touchdowns today for Algier.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness, Amir Abdullah. Okay.
Could you imagine the payout on that if you had bet that pre-game for Algier?
Dude.
I mean,
I
he's a touchdown.
You might as
hawk,
well
though.
throw 5 on Algier anytime touchdown every single time you think they have a decent matchup. Well,
Yeah.
let's close it out here with a couple more guys that are in. We have Christian Watson in for the Packers, and we have Matt Golden looking like a potential in. How are you feeling about that Packers receiving room? Is it just Romeo Doubs and no one else?
I feel the most confident in Romeo Doubs right now, and no one else. I'm
Doesn't that
intrigued
stink?
by Christian Watson. Right. Well, what's funny is Mike in our group chat is probably one of the biggest truthers of Romeo Doubs and how underrated he is.
Is he really?
Christian Watson is such a boom bust player, and but he's so athletic. Like that's the thing is like if he just stayed healthy, who knows what would have been done? They might not have even drafted Matt Golden in the first round if that receiver room looks any different than it did. But the issue is it's been just such a cluster. And to me, Matt Golden, I was low on him. Well, I was low on him after like pre-draft and after the draft. And it's kind of proving exactly what my concerns were. I mean, I think there was like some crazy stat where he was with all of these busts, right? Where it's like 0 touchdowns, like poor production so far at this point in the season. It's, I mean, it could be different. I think he's a good player. I don't feel great about it for fantasy.
Yeah, Golden's one of those guys where I wanted to believe in it because like we have such a track record of Jordan Love being able to pull average receivers like Romeo Dobbs into fantasy relevancy. But Matt Golden
Yeah.
looks like Hollywood Brown. He looks like Xavier Worthy. He looks like Christian Watson. Guys that you really want to see the ceiling outcome, but don't always hit it. So him going in the first, yeah, I same boat there. I wanted it to be more, but like I was realistic going into this one as well. On the other side of the Bears game, actually, a lot of injuries in the Bears game. Sorry we're talking Bears so much on this stream, but we're going to close it out with the tight ends for the New York Football Giants are both in, Theo Johnson and Dan Bellinger. Any of them tickle your interest at all? They don't really for me.
Theo Johnson only. Like if in a flex situation where you have a deep start or you're dealing with injuries, like Theo Johnson is more of a athletic, higher upside tight end than Daniel Bellinger is. I mean, the fact that Daniel Bellinger is even still like involved in the offense just means that they're missing so much of their weapons between Neighbors and Cam Scadaboo, of course, being out. But yeah, no, give me Theo Johnson if you have to pick one of the two. But obviously, there's a lot better starts.
Yeah, and while we were talking here, I just figured I'd pull this up. We'll be releasing some features in the coming week on our comps database. League Champ has like a full comps one that I really want to start enabling for the Dynasty community. But while we were talking, I decided to throw it up for Matt Golden just because I like to see how models actually predict guys like that. Dude comps extremely well to one Jalen Waddle, which is cool, but you look straight below that and you get D. Eskridge, Elijah Moore, and Wandale Robinson. And those are some players that I would not want to start in fantasy football.
Funny enough, like yeah, Jalen Waddle is obviously the highest out of those three, out of those four, and then Wandale is a pro's pro. Like he's fine, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, not a little bit of vomit in your mouth.
Yeah. Well, any last calls here? Tell the folks any additional injury news that we need to know
Yeah,
before Sunday. What I miss?
yeah. Let me give you a little bit of something on Kyler Murray because
Ooh.
and actually this is a little bit of a concern for J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins ended up suffering a midfoot sprain against the Raiders on Thursday, and when we're talking about a midfoot sprain, another name for it is essentially a Lisfranc injury. And Kyler was basically out since week 5 with this foot injury, and wasn't placed on the IR. It's again talking about coaches who are misusing players and the way that their injury designations are. But Kyler is placed on the IR now. He's not expected back until week 14. Jacoby Brissett is a solid start in fantasy going forward until Kyler's back. And honestly, the future is murky for Kyler. I don't feel good about him staying in Arizona at this point. I think that Arizona is going to figure out another situation with a quarterback and move on. I don't know where Kyler is going to end up in the offseason.
I have a good idea. I think it's on the New York Jets. But yeah.
Justin Fields part 2.
Scott here said, "Did you see the Dobbins tweet?" Yes, we did.
I had not.
Oh, you didn't see this
I had
one?
not.
Okay.
I had not.
This is a fun one. He, in reference to the hip drop tackle that caused that foot sprain, he
Yes.
essentially sent in all caps, ban it or call it. And I couldn't agree more. Like, if they're going to be trying to make that play a dangerous football play, they need to actually enforce it. It's kind of like the tush push. Like, if you want the rules to work, you actually have to call them. I know that must be a shocker
Right.
for NFL
The officiating
referees.
is
Yeah.
and the officiating has felt like just bad this season. right? Like it always feels bad every season, and that's one thing that I want people to take away from like talking to me as well is everybody feels like this injury, like the injuries this season have been worse. It's not. They may not have been worse. They've just been more like front of mind because of how many fantasy assets have been involved. There have been injuries like these things going on a long time. So I always like hold bated breath when somebody says the injuries this season have been so bad compared to so many other seasons. No, I think it's just like again, it's just so recency bias and so much in the at the front of your mind. But absolutely, man, like officiating has to do a better job of calling these things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And sorry if I look concerned. I don't know if you've seen our streams, but I have a very smart but very mean cat that makes appearances on the show every once in a while. She's all right. She can do tricks and stuff, but she is just not a very nice gal. How you doing, Sophie? But that actually closes us out today. It has been awesome talking on the mic. Yeah, as you can see here, Ben is so much more of a professional than the normal clientele that I keep on this show, so we'll have to have him back a couple more times. I have been Addi, the Nardug Narder. You can find me at Duck League Champ on all the socials, and obviously download the League Champ app. We have some pretty big news coming out on Monday. Going to keep it quiet till then, but we are going to be doing some cool stuff. Just keep an eye on the contest page as it's coming out. We might be giving away a little bit more this upcoming week. So
Indy just won on a last second field goal. Just not to take away from
really.
Yes.
Oh no, please. That's why we watch football during these shows.
And I have Michael Badgley on multiple my team, so yes. Oh, nice. Is it OT? Okay.
Well, that makes up for the missed PAT.
Yeah, exactly. And the missed field goal. But anyway, sorry.
Exactly.
I've been distracted
please.
all episode long.
Hey.
You can find me on the socials at Dynasty Big Mac FF on X. My show's the Dynasty Gambit. I run it with my show partner Austin Jacobson. Also another great, honestly, a better Dynasty mind.
Love
than
Austin.
But Austin's a good dude. And then also I've been doing a lot of work with some of our other fellow friends. Of course, getting in with the League Champ app, really using your app, and then been hanging out with the Debbie Dojo guys. Those guys are close friends of mine.
Love those guys.
But yeah, if you want to get connected in our Discord, connected, of course, with our show, reach out to me. Like I said, I'm on X at Dynasty Big Mac FF. That's the easiest place to get a hold of me. And there's Rocco at the end, man. Should we answer his question?
Oh, yeah. Rocco coming in at the end of our stream, throwing us a curveball. Hey, how are we feeling about the team? Yeah, it's almost like they didn't get on the show in time. I'm joking around here. I hardly ever make
it's like
it
they
to
have their own show
time.
that they do.
Yeah. They actually just hit a doubleheader. I'm guessing they're just getting off theirs, but I almost never make theirs on time. I am normally hungover at that hour. But the T-Mac and Fan and Hammy entry. Yeah.
Not a decoy in my mind. Not a decoy in my mind.
Not a
decoy.
I
think they're fully healthy and ready to go. And yeah, same thing with Fannin. So I think they're good starts in your lineup this week.
Yeah, totally agree there. But that will actually close us out. We are keeping this under 50 minutes. This has been a fantastic show. Thank you for checking us out on the Two Guys, One Pod show. And okay, let's see. All right, we answered all the questions. We're good. We aren't missing anything. We're here for the community, and please check us out and check out my boy Ben McCount work all over the social medias. He is absolutely killing it.